Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Wingcat Sports, and it's our Lions pregame for the final game of the year against the Vikings Sunday night for the number one seed for the division. Lions favorited by 56.5 over under. But it is a big game to end the year, and depending on what path you want to take, depends on how you want this game to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to go the way most people think it's going to go. It's going to be high scoring, and hopefully the Lions get some luck on defense, and we get some turnovers from our ball hawks like Kirby Joseph or Brian Branch. Our defensive backfield is still pretty darn good. So I don't. I mean, I know people are gonna go, oh, we're gonna have to score 50 points or something like that. Yeah, well, maybe we will. We
Maybe
seem to be pretty good at that.
with it being
We're at
three.
home. Our audio, I think we're going to light them up like we did last time. There's not much else to say. I mean, I think it's going to go a lot like San Francisco.
They're expecting a semi-lower scoring game with the over/under 51.5. So they're expecting like a 22-25 or something around there kind of score.
Why?
Which is a weird score, but that's kind of what they're expecting.
I wouldn't see how anyone could. I mean, maybe from a gambling perspective, but I would take the over all day on that.
So they're saying like a 53 or 23-26 is kind of what they're seeing the game is going to end up being. But in the end, we'll see what happens because you do have a high chance of Alex Anzalone returning this week. They said he's very close to returning, so we'll see if he'll be back. Okay. Khalif Raymond will be back this week off of IR. Jack Campbell did have a rib injury in the San Francisco game, but he probably will play. Meek Robinson was also tweaked, I think, his calf, but I think he'll be able to go too. You're slowly getting people back. If you can end up getting this number one seed, you give everybody an extra week. Montgomery should be back by the time the divisional round would start in that case. And you slowly, again, will get the team back. And that's kind of what we want. Slow and steady. If you only had to do one playoff game before you reach the NFC Championship and get 90% of your defensive injuries that you had that would come back this year to come back, that would be perfect. But we'll see.
It would be, but you can't complain even if they lose. A 14-3 season is pretty damn awesome. You're an elite team. So are the Vikings. I can't guarantee you every time we play them, we're going to beat them. They're going to beat us one of these times.
This would be, I think
this will be the time.
I think this
better
will be
than the playoffs.
I think this will be the 6th straight win or the 5th straight win.
Yeah,
against the Vikings. If you beat them, it's going to be a close game. Sam Darnold has been hot. He has had a fantastic year. 35 TDs to 12 interceptions, 4,153 yards. Aaron Jones is a little injured, so we'll see how that factors into their play. And Justin Jefferson, almost 1,500 yards on the year, 10 TDs. We'll see what ends up happening. It's going to be a high-scoring game, most likely. There's a reason they picked it to be Sunday night because they knew it would be must-see TV because they know the stakes that are with it. If Minnesota would have lost last week, this would have been a 1 o'clock game.
Right.
But because of the factor what it is, you're playing in prime time again. Lions have a very good record in prime time under Dan Campbell, so we'll see how that also factors into everything. You're going to be wearing your black jerseys. This was supposed to be your throwback game, and we threw that to the side. No throwback jerseys this year. No throwback jerseys this year, unless you decide to wear it in the Super Bowl. That would be funny, but for the most part, right, you're going to go with the black jerseys. You're going to try and wear the Motor City Muscle, scare them a little bit. I would keep the blue lion on the field this time, though. Don't put the black lion on.
I think this is going to be a pretty predictable thing. If we can, we're going to try to outscore them, and then try to get out just like the San Francisco game. Try to get opportunistic. Try to hope
get the turnovers when you can.
Make some mistakes, and we outlast them.
It's going to probably be whoever wins the turnover battle because Minnesota has a good defense, but our offense is still number one in the league. I think we even upped our average. We had the highest amount of points scored offensively for a 17-game season, and we still have one game left.
I know. It's a shame that one of these two teams is not going to get a home playoff game. That's just ridiculous. But that's the way the rules are, and you can't. We all play by them. Some get lucky, some don't.
There's
If you're lucky enough to play in a division where 10 wins the division, great. Lucky for you.
they're still giving the Lions a 65% chance to win. Vikings 35. It's going to be close. I mean, again, like we've already said, it's going to be a close, high-scoring game.
I can't remember the last time where it took 15 wins to win a division. I mean,
19. I
that's just
think it was
crazy.
sometime in the 90s. The AFC Central was the last division to have multiple 13 uh win teams in it. This is the first time we've had multiple 14 win teams
Right.
in a division.
And you're not going to
And
get, one of them's not going to get rewarded.
if this game somehow ends in a tie, the Lions do still have the tiebreaker.
Right.
So
But
the only
still,
way the Lions lose is if they lose, right? I mean, if they
Right.
tie or they win, they get the number one seed. If they lose, Minnesota gets the number one seed. And again, Minnesota has the right. They've been kind of thrown to the side the whole year because of us being in the division. There hasn't been much attention on Minnesota.
right.
It's all been, oh, Detroit this, Detroit that. When it comes out of the NFC North, not so much looking at Minnesota. And Minnesota can just come in and surprise. And it's what they want to do. And it very well could happen. I mean, I ain't going to lie. I have a feeling that is what's going to happen.
You're good.
That Minnesota's going to come in and win, and you're going to go on the road. Right side is if you lose this game, you were 8-0 on the road this year.
And you're playing Tampa, who you can
Or
beat.
Atlanta.
Or Atlanta, who you can beat. If you can't beat one of those two teams, you don't deserve to go to the Super Bowl. I don't care where you're
And
playing.
again, right now, if all the odd people who are projected to win, Green Bay is the 7th seed, and they'd be playing Philly. And then you got Washington going and playing the Rams.
Which should be tough. I think Washington could beat the Rams. I think Green Bay could beat Philly.
You could have all 3 wildcard teams win that first week, and now you're playing Minnesota. Well, actually, you play the worst seed, so you'd be playing Green Bay in the divisional round, and then you might be playing Minnesota in the championship.
Right. Which I don't care. We can beat them in Minnesota.
If all the wild card teams won and you won your division, or if it goes the other way, you end up being the wild card, the 5th wild card, and then you're going to go play Washington at home, and then you go play in Minnesota.
Right.
Depending on how that all goes between Minnesota and Green Bay.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting thing that can overall happen this year in total. With all, well, basically, now we're going to go into score predictions. What's your score prediction for this game, Dan? Score prediction. What are you thinking?
I think it's 41-38 Lions.
Oh, you're going high. Lions have been scoring again. If you look at the past few games, the Lions themselves.
Last second field goal by Jake Bates from 62.
The last 4 games, the Lions have scored 34 points or more. In 2 of the games, they scored at least 40 points. And the lowest scoring in the past 5, obviously, is Chicago on Thanksgiving with the 23-20. Vikings, the highest amount of points they got was against the Falcons. That was 42. But besides that, they haven't gotten 30. So with a semi-competent defense, I'm going to say Minnesota will put up, I'm going to go with 26. The Lions will put up 34. 34-26 Lions. I think.
Okay.
Off of trends, looking at how everything's going, that seems to be the trend that Lions have been putting up a lot of points lately. Minnesota put up a lot of points on a bad Atlanta defense, but overall they haven't been scoring more than 30. So I think if the Lions can play semi-decent defense, they can hold Minnesota back.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a good game. It's going to be one to look out for. Hopefully it's entertaining and we can have a week off from talking about a Lions game and more or less talk about how the bye is going to help them. But we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening.
Okay.
With all that being said, though, if you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, let us know what you think is going to happen this week. And until next time, see everybody soon.